Begin.
Well, welcome to UC Santa Cruz's Virtual Spring Spotlight. I'm Michael McCauley, Director of Admissions here at UC Santa Cruz. And wherever you are currently accessing us, whether it is within California, in another state, or in another country, I want to welcome you today. The next hour, this session focuses on information for newly admitted students, undergraduate students to UC Santa Cruz. And so if you are here to learn information as a prospective student that has not been admitted, unfortunately, we're not going to be covering that. You may find some of the information interesting, but this really focuses on our admitted undergraduate students. We may have both freshmen and transfer students in our audience today, and so I would like to say congratulations to the freshmen that have been admitted, and I would like to say congratulations to the transfer students that have been admitted. The admission was very competitive this year, as you can imagine. We're a University of California campus that is a selective university, and so on behalf of Chancellor George Blumenthal, the faculty, students, staff, and alums of UC Santa Cruz, congratulations on your admission to our campus. We had nearly 50,000 total applications from freshmen and transfer students this year, and we are very happy to have gotten our admissions decisions out. Some transfer students are still awaiting their admission decision, but all of our freshman decisions are out, and so today's session I'm going to cover some of the information that we believe will be helpful for you as you try to decide if UC Santa Cruz is a good fit for you to engage in your undergraduate studies. I'm joined here today for this session with Assistant Director Beatrice Atkinson-Myers, who has been putting this session and other sessions today together. And I want to say that this presentation will be available tomorrow, so that if you want to go back and access any of the slides that you see today or to actually replay any of my discussion, you can do that tomorrow at the UC Santa Cruz booth. So if you have questions as I go along, go ahead and post them and I will try to answer them as they come up. So every once in a while you'll probably see that I'm going to divert my eyes from the camera that I'm looking at right now to look down at the screen and see if there's a question that I should be responding to. So don't take that as an affront. I just want to make sure that we're being attentive to answer your questions. The presentation probably will last about 30 minutes, and then I will take questions at the end from any of you that have questions or those of you that may join us at a later time. I'm going to move to the next one. Hopefully that's there. Some of you may have already heard that news because for the second year in a row, UC Santa Cruz was ranked by Times Higher Education as second in the world for its research influence. And we were tied with Rice University just after MIT. That's pretty good company to keep. What we mean by this, so oftentimes you hear a lot about rankings and the methodology that's used for rankings. You really want to make sure and understand that so that your families, you know exactly what we mean by being second in the world for research influence. How they measure that is simply by saying the number of times our research is mentioned by other colleges and universities around the world. So as a research institution, we are doing original research at UC Santa Cruz. So to be recognized by our peers around the world in this way truly means we have a global impact. And as a research institution, your research is influencing other people that are conducting research around the world. And our undergraduates get to be a part of that. And it's one thing that I believe if you're coming to a research university or consider coming to a research university, you can be a part of that as an undergraduate. And I'll be talking more about that as we go through this session because I think it's important for you to understand all that's available to you. And I know when I talk to students and families around the state, around the country, even outside the country, and they really want to know, if I come to a research institution, am I going to be able to do research? Right now, over 60% of our undergraduates, before they have graduated from UC Santa Cruz, are working on original research. So definitely you can be part of that excitement. And that research isn't just in the sciences or in engineering, it's in all of our academic disciplines. And I'll be talking about that momentarily. I also want to talk a little bit about the kind of opportunities that await you for recognitions, honors opportunities. It's available on websites at UC Santa Cruz about all the different honors. We do have a first-year honors program that's available through two of our colleges, Cal and Crown College. That's by invitation only, and those of you students that may be online with us today have already received notification that you've been selected for that honors opportunity. But there's other honors opportunities. We have international and national societies such as Phi Beta Kappa, we have Gold Key International Honor Society, and Tau Beta Pi in engineering. So again, if you go to the website on campus, you can find all of our honors opportunities available to you as an undergraduate student. As a campus that has only been in existence for less than 50 years, which is pretty young when we talk about universities, we have had a huge impact already and plan to have an even greater impact. Now, how do you do that? You do that by virtue of the faculty that you have. So we have world-renowned faculty at UC Santa Cruz, just as our other UC campuses have world-renowned faculty. Our faculty are committed to the students. They're committed to using students with their research projects. We were founded with an understanding that we were going to focus on undergraduate education, and to this day, since our founding back in 1965, that commitment remains in place. So you see here a faculty member, Brenda Romero, who's director of UCSC's Center for Game and Playable Media. So she oversees one of our more popular majors in computer science, computer game design. And given our proximity to Silicon Valley, where much of innovation takes place, and especially in the gaming world, this is a faculty member that you would have access to. We have other faculty members that are equally recognized in their fields. So it's always hard when we do a session like this to single out any one faculty member, because all of our faculty are well respected, are leaders in their fields. And so when you come to UC Santa Cruz, you're going to be exposed to excellent faculty that are interested in teaching undergraduate students. Our current students, we're featuring a couple of them here that have been working on projects for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics diversity program. But we have students that are doing amazing work, that are working directly with faculty in their research area, that are working in the community, that are taking their expertise that they have and spreading it back into their communities. And so you'll be a part of that excitement. We have a student body that comes from all parts of the world, California, other states, other countries. So you're really coming to a lot of different exposure maybe than what you're used to when you come to a UC Santa Cruz experience. And then of course, our alums. So as I said, we're a fairly young UC campus, but we have alums that are doing an amazing array of things out in the world and are making a global impact. So you see one of our alums that we feature here, Vince, and I'm going to try to pronounce this name correctly, Shabria. Is that good? I'm asking my colleague here, who's a judge in Northern California. But we have people in all sorts of different industries, leaders in business, astronauts, we have people in engineering, we have people in the sciences, medical field, doctors, lawyers. We have people in entertainment. Many of you may know many of the people that have been associated with the arts at UC Santa Cruz. So you're really going to find a number of well-recognized alums when you come to UC Santa Cruz. And as I said, we're just displaying 3 pictures here of faculty, students, and alumni, but they are representative of the fame that many of our alums and faculty and students have already gained. So let's talk a little about the academics at UC Santa Cruz. First off, let me say that we have majors, over 60 majors, in the traditional academic areas, and that would include engineering, the physical and biological sciences, that would include majors in humanities, social sciences, and in the arts. And for those of you that are freshmen that have joined us today, I want to make sure you know that if you're coming in as undeclared, that's acceptable, not a problem. In fact, it's probably our most popular major for our freshmen. We have what we call advising clusters. So when you applied to UC Santa Cruz, you had to take from a list of about 10 different advising areas for undeclared. And that's just because we want to make sure that you're going to get off on the right foot in terms of your advising. So we take those areas, we help you understand what kind of first year curriculum you should be thinking of. If you're not quite sure what area of science you want to go into, but you know generally that's what you want to do, we want to make sure you know how to get off on the right foot during your freshman year. Transfer students, you probably already know this, but undeclared was not an option for you. You had to list a major because during the time before you're going to join UC Santa Cruz, you've had to concentrate on preparing for that major. So you have a major or an area of interest that you know when you come join UC Santa Cruz. So what are some of the things about that you're going to be, taking into consideration about attending our campus? We say on the slide here, an interdisciplinary approach to education. And just as I said what the disciplines are, that means that we are working across disciplines with certain majors. And so when we are talking about a major like a computer game design major that involves engineering and it also involves the arts, or when we're talking about majors that span the social sciences and the physical and biological sciences, that's what interdisciplinary approach means. And we lead in that way. We enjoy thinking about things that are interdisciplinary because it exposes you to different ways of thinking rather than just the narrow focus in that one discipline. We want students to come in and really explore and learn. And this is more the message for you freshmen that I want to make sure you know. If you have indicated an area of undeclared, you can come into the campus and take that first year experience and then formally declare a major after that in your sophomore year. We want to make sure that you know you can do that by taking some general education courses in different disciplines and kind of hone in on that area that's going to really feel right to you, and that's what you want to move forward on and major in, and then later on maybe go to a graduate or a professional school or go right into a job, a career after you graduate from UC Santa Cruz. So we have advising that's set up to help you do that exploration and learning process, as well as a number of web-based resources that you can use. And when I talk about the advising resources, let me say that we have different levels of advising that you'd find. So all of our students, undergraduates, are affiliated with one of our 10 residential colleges. And we have advising that is college-based. Now, the college breaks down UC Santa Cruz as a university into smaller living and learning communities. So the advising that takes place in the colleges is general advising. You're going to find out information that will help you select a major, to make sure that you're on track for a timely graduation. And I just want to say that once you've kind of declared your area of interest, your major that you want, there's also advising that takes place either on a department level or a divisional level. So if you're interested in humanities and you know that you want to be a literature major, perhaps you will talk to the literature advisor and get all your information there. So you have college advising, you have departmental or divisional advising, and then you also have centralized advising services. Services like EOP, Educational Opportunity Programs, services through our Career Center. So we try to make sure that we are giving advice to you that will prepare you not only to be a successful UC Santa Cruz student, but also to be a successful alum of UC Santa Cruz. So I mentioned our 10 residential colleges, and all of you that have been admitted know that we have put information in your admission packet, if you've received that yet, that talks about our college system. You can also go on any of our websites and learn more about the colleges. And we want to talk about the colleges have distinct personalities. But the first thing you want to know about our college system is they do more things alike than they do differently. So no matter what college you end up being affiliated with, you're going to have the same sort of small collegiate experience no matter what college you're affiliated with. So our colleges are all considered interdisciplinary. And that does mean that they want to have majors from across all disciplines. So take, for instance, Porter College, which some people, because of their core course, which is a first-year course that all Porter students would have to take, people might think that Porter is just the arts college. But Porter has as many science students as they have art students. So they want to make sure that they have a good mix of students. They really want to emphasize that interdisciplinary approach that I was talking about before. So your affiliation with a college is not dependent on your major or your area of interest. So there's a number of things that colleges do. They break down the larger university into these smaller living and learning communities. And let me remind you all that we do guarantee university housing to all admitted freshmen and all admitted transfer students, provided everything is done on time. And that university housing includes for transfer students housing in our transfer community located between Porter and Kresge colleges, which is a transitional year. That first year you'll be with other transfer students at UC Santa Cruz. So the thing that's impressive about our college system, which has been around since our founding, really is how students are integrated into the collegiate experience at UC Santa Cruz. Things to consider. So in the publications that we've sent you on the websites, it tells you a number of things. The location of the college, perhaps what disciplines are there, the departments that are there, perhaps the theme of the college core course, perhaps the theme of housing that exists at those colleges. Different colleges have different themed housing, and so really take some time and review that information. When you list your preferences of which colleges you'd like to be affiliated with, you get to list 5 as a product of you accepting your offer of admission. Or you can simply choose to indicate that you don't have a preference and will select one of the colleges for you. But again, you're going to have a terrific experience at any of our colleges that you're affiliated with. And resources that exist at every one of the colleges. I've already talked about the advising that takes place, but there's also the co-curricular experience that you're going to get at any of our colleges. So they're going to have perhaps college nights and dinners with special speakers. They're going to have entertainment. They're going to have fun things for you to do, recreational opportunities. So the colleges are vibrant communities for you to take advantage of. And so we really, since our founding, have enjoyed the collegiate experience being such an integral part of an undergraduate education at UC Santa Cruz. So you see here some of the things that while you're affiliated with a college, each college has its own student government, and so that's something that many of our students, when we have admitted them, they've already been a part of their high school or community college government, and they can come in and be a part of our government system that exists across each college and as a centralized entity. We have service learning opportunities like at Merrill College that has field studies that students can actually go into the community and work with schools in the community or other community organizations. So that service learning is a part of what some of the colleges offer. Activities, events, co-curricular programs, I told you we have those, and those are abundant. I think that some of the, if you go out and use social networking, you can learn all about some of the co-curricular opportunities that our colleges have. And I do want to emphasize the transfer community at Porter College, between Porter and Kresge College, where our first year we put our incoming transfer students together, those that want to live on campus. And that has really been an incredible experience for our transfer students. Not only is it a residential community, but it also allows them to really interact and think about the programming that will help them support. And with other transfer students that are there, they can learn about how to traverse, starting at UC Santa Cruz. I'm going to take a break here to look at some of the questions that come up and see if I can go back and answer those. So let me look at the questions that I've gotten thus far. All right, I'm looking at something. Yeah, I've lost.
I've got it.
So go ahead and you shout it out, and I'll.
We got great questions coming in, Michael. Some of our first questions are coming from students who are really interested in knowing if they're a freshman, is Porter going to be a bad place for them to live because it's mostly upperclassmen?
No, in fact, that's a great question. Let me say that there is a transfer community that is located between Porter and Kresge College, but the remaining aspect of Porter is for incoming freshmen. So we will have hundreds of incoming freshmen that will be affiliated with Porter College, just as we will have hundreds of students affiliated at the freshman level in the other 9 colleges. So Porter is definitely a viable place for any freshman to consider.
Okay, I'm going to go back a little bit. We have a lot of questions coming in. Love the questions from everybody. Regarding the first year honors program, we have a student who asks, was there an application required separately when applying to UC Santa Cruz, or how were those students selected?
Our faculty made decisions about which students would be invited to the first year honors program. So it is not something that you would have applied for. We make that decision based on the students that have been admitted at UC Santa Cruz. And so those decisions and those invitations have already been issued.
If a student declared their major as a first year student but now wants to change their major, does that affect their applicant status?
No, for a freshman, the fact is that there is some self-service in the my.ucsc.edu portal that allows you to update your major if it's changed since you applied. Now, there are some restrictions. This is only available to freshmen, not transfer students. So let me first talk to the freshmen. You can go online in the portal. You can find a link that is update major, and so you can go ahead and update it to something else. We basically treat the major that you listed on your application as an area of interest. So even if you applied as a psychology student, we have a formal declaration process that takes place later when you're at UC Santa Cruz. But we wanted to know that you had an interest in psychology so we can have the right amount of courses offered for students. So, but if you now say wanted to get into sociology, you'd be able to go online in the portal and you'd be able to update that information as a freshman. So you can also, if you don't update it there, know that during your first year, before you've started your sophomore year, you can update your major through the formal declaration process. Now, it's a little bit different for transfer students, and I want to be clear. We expect all transfer students to be well prepared for the major they indicated on their application, and we, in fact, are selecting students by their major. So it is very different. You do not have the option to update that information on the portal. If you came to UC Santa Cruz and had a change of heart in your major, you'd really have to talk to both the college and the department to see if that would be acceptable at that point. As I said, we expect our junior level transfers to come in ready to get into their upper division coursework for their major. And I want to say, why are we, so interested in keeping students on pace in their major, when they declare it, what they need to do to get the advising? And I think this is reassuring for family members that may be also listening to this. We are committed to having freshmen graduate in 4 years or less, transfer students 2 years or less. So we want to make sure that we're doing everything possible to keep a timely graduation as part of your UC Santa Cruz experience. Next question, B.
Okay, we have a lot of questions coming in about the residential colleges, and I just want to let everybody know that the next video presentation is going to be about the residential colleges here at UC Santa Cruz. So hang on, that's going to start at 2 p.m.
Okay.
Hang on to those questions. We're getting a lot of questions though about majors specifically and grading questions. So questions coming in from a student wanting to know, what is the grading system? Is it pass, fail, or letter grades for biology majors or any major?
Santa Cruz, like the other UC campuses, has traditional letter grades, and so that is something that it's regular grades like you've probably had at your high school or community college. We do, if you have an interest in something called a performance evaluation, which is a written aspect, this goes back to the very roots of UC Santa Cruz's grading system back when we began. That is something that you would talk to an instructor about. So it has to be at the discretion of the instructor if they're going to do any sort of written narrative. So for the vast majority of students, we're talking about just traditional letter grades.
Okay. We have students who are interested in knowing, if I do a particular major, can I still do study abroad? So a student specifically wants to know about business, but what about any major in study abroad?
We're going to talk a little bit about study abroad here in a moment, but I think that's a good, so this ties to our advising community. We believe any of our majors, students can do a study abroad term or maybe year, but it does take some careful planning along the way. And it also depends on you passing all your courses as you move along. So as you move through your first year, second year, third year, you want to make sure that you are in touch with your college through the EAP, Education Abroad Program Office, to kind of talk about that. They have a fabulous orientation to get students prepared for study abroad well before they're ever going to leave to go on that study abroad. So I do think it's possible in any major, but there's a lot of things you want to keep in mind to keep moving forward and being successful. B, maybe we'll hold right now and move.
We'll keep going.
Continue on with the presentation and then come back to some questions, because you actually talked a little bit about beyond the classroom. So EAP, I just talked about, in over 35 countries, the Education Abroad program is a fantastic opportunity for our undergraduates, and I think most of us would like to go back in time and make sure we took advantage of that. You're going to be able to study in one of 35 countries. This is a UC-wide program, and UC Santa Cruz has one of the highest participation rates in education abroad, which to me is a badge of honor at our campus. I think given its size, we're one of the smaller UC campuses. To have so much participation from our students shows that they are interested in a global sense of their education. We have a great physical education, recreation, and sports facility at UC Santa Cruz, programming at UC Santa Cruz. Given where we're located on the coast of California, Central Coast, right on the Monterey Bay, we're on over 2,000 acres of wooded forest land. It lends itself to a very healthy environment. And so you see our students coming in like to take advantage of that and participate in sports or recreation programs, and you can find an enormous amount of information about that on their website. Students also get involved with our student organizations. We have over 100 student organizations students become involved in. If you find that something you're passionate about does not have a student organization, if you and a few friends are of like mind, you can start your own student organization. I am amazed sometimes at all of the student organizations that exist on our campus, how vibrant they really are. And again, it shows a commitment by our students to think outside their classroom experience and expand perhaps their passions and expand their leadership opportunities. And that leads me to student leadership opportunities. I mentioned student government before, both within the colleges and as a campus as a whole, but you might also find in peer mentoring programs that we have on campus, or learning and living opportunities that exist within the colleges, that you can expand those leadership opportunities for you. And I want to talk about our size. We're about 17,000 students at UC Santa Cruz. About 90% of that is undergraduate enrollment at our campus. And so you have a number of opportunities that are going to be available to you as an undergraduate that at other campuses might be reserved for graduate students. And I think that's something that's unique about UC Santa Cruz. So you see a couple of websites on this slide: opers.ucsc.edu, soar.ucsc.edu. SOAR would be about our student organizations. And really take some time to look at that, because you're going to have your major that you're going to be concentrating on. You're going to become, hopefully most of you, involved in research, but also you're going to want to become involved in something else that really feeds your passion outside the classroom. And we have a lot to offer in that regard. I mentioned our academic and advising resources that we have. So I want to say that one of the things that has kept me at UC Santa Cruz for over 3 decades has been how we support our students. We do this in a number of ways, not only in the classroom, but outside the classroom. And so this is important for you, and share this information with your parents and family members as well. Because I think when you leave someone at a university campus, be it at UC Santa Cruz or somewhere else, you want to know that you're going to be safe, that you're going to be cared for, and our campus really takes that seriously. So we have the academic and advising resources for you. We also have resources that are going to prepare you for the next step after graduation, career advising resources. We bring in a lot of industry leaders to talk to you, to have job fairs. We make sure that you know how to write in your discipline, because one of our general education areas is called the disciplinary communication requirement. That's going to teach you at an upper division level how to write in your major, which will only prepare you later on down the line for your career. We have resource centers, centralized resource centers that are going to help you. Some of them are ethnic resource centers. We have the Cantu Center. So we are looking to help you connect with other students on our campus. And some of you may have already been invited to our schools on Facebook and are already communicating with each other about this. I think that's a remarkable way to use Facebook and other social networking opportunities to connect with each other. You don't need us telling you what kind of opportunities there are, because you can discover those through other means. But I just am here to say that the resource centers that we have on campus really support students, and some of the testimonials that I've seen over the years about students that have connected with the Cantu Center or the African American Resource Center, they really tell a story about how students are finding each other and enjoying their UC Santa Cruz experience. And then health and safety. It is important to us, it is important for us that your families know that we take that seriously. We are a safe and secure campus. We want to make sure that we have a health center on campus, we have a police station on campus, a fire station on campus, we have psychological services on campus. So we're thinking about supporting students as a whole, not just their minds, but the whole student. And so this is something that you have at UC Santa Cruz as a part of your experience, support coming at you in all different ways. Maybe I'll stop on the next steps before we get to it and just see if there's a couple of related questions that came up with what I just talked about, B.
No related questions to that. It sounds like we've got a lot of questions from students who want to know more specifically details about their major. They want to know about what classes they should be taking, if they can be a computer science major, even though they didn't declare it as a freshman, if they can do computer science and art classes. So anything you want to add about
Sure.
majors?
Well, and actually, let me start with the last bullet on the slide that you're seeing right now, which is to sign up for summer orientation. A lot of those questions to me are questions that are really about the next steps that you're going to be doing once you're here. So, as I've said, as a freshman coming in, you don't have to formally declare your major until your sophomore year. So you have time to figure out what it is that you want to do. But we offer our summer orientation program, which we really want you to come to. We want to make sure that everybody that can come is present for one of the summer orientation programs. And any day we'll be launching the reservations for that, which are on a first come, first served basis. But that's where you're going to have access to advisors, both in the colleges and the departments, talking about a lot of the courses that you're going to need to take during that first term here. Some of them will have 4-year plans laid out for you, so you know what it is that you should be doing all 4 years. Again, timely graduation being the goal. We also have things for undeclared students to help you. There's a great advising website here. And if you're interested in a double major, more than one major, or a combined major, our advising staff would also talk to you about that. And it's a great thing if you are able to visit campus, come to, say, our non-virtual Spring Spotlight that's coming up. You can also take advantage of some of those questions being answered when you visit campus. But I don't want you to think that you have to have all those questions answered right now. Those are answered for you as you move through your curriculum, particularly in the first year. Transfer students, your questions would be different about this. They really are about your upper division coursework. And again, the advisors are ready for upper division transfer students to join us. So let me talk about these next steps. One, you all need to accept your offer of admission if you're planning to attend UC Santa Cruz next fall. And you want to do that, let me talk about a deadline that I will repeat a few times. Freshmen, you need to make sure you've accepted your offer of admission no later than May 1st, 2014. And that May 1st deadline is by 11:59 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. Don't miss the deadline. Transfer students, you have another month, June 1st. Same thing, 11:59 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. That's your deadline to accept your offer of admission. We want to make sure that those deadlines are adhered to. We're a university. Just like universities around the country, we have dates and deadlines that need to be recognized that you don't want to miss. If you miss them, the last several years, we have not been able to accommodate any student that misses their deadline to accept the offer of admission. So, read the conditions of admission that are on there. Ours is a multi-step process when you go to do your acceptance. Make sure you've looked at all those. Simply by clicking the one button in the portal environment, some students are scared to do that because they think that's going to commit them to attending. It's a multi-step process, so don't worry about that. And always check the to-do list in the portal. That could be the admissions office is asking you for something. Another office, like our colleagues in financial aid and scholarship, could be asking you for something. Stay on top of your business. That's true as a potential UC Santa Cruz student. It's also true when you become a UC Santa Cruz student. So getting in the habit is a good thing. And I want to make mention of your coursework that you're currently doing, maybe your coursework from last fall. This is true for both freshmen and transfer students. When we admit you provisionally. So you have conditions of admission. You need to meet those conditions of admission because what we have given, we can take away. And as the director of admissions, every year it's sad to say that we cancel hundreds of students' admissions because they have not met their conditions of admission. And in the portal, there's all sorts of ways to contact us. Make sure if there's any question about this, you get those questions answered. So I'm going to go off screen for a minute just so we can look at the information on financial aid and scholarship. But I'll take 5 minutes, B, and answer any questions that may have just come up.
Okay, great. We have a couple great students from international students coming in. So
okay.
One is a question about summer start for international students. It begins at the same time as summer orientation. Is there a difference between the two?
Those are two very different programs, and so Summer Start is a special program that we've put together this year for international students. If you are interested in doing Summer Start, that you would get a lot of the same information, but more intense information than the summer orientation. So I would say that you should go ahead and consider, if you want to do summer start, I would do that over the summer orientation. Now, there's also going to be a mandatory orientation for international students at the beginning of the fall term, a little bit before we begin, and that information is forthcoming as well. So there will be plenty of time for orientation, but I do want to say that Summer Start is a special program that was just offered this year, and I think it's a well thought out program for our international students.
So I have a student who says that they live in Bangladesh and will probably not be able to attend summer orientation. Will that affect their admission?
It will not affect your admission at all for the student in Bangladesh right now. Thank you for joining us today. I do want to say that there will be the mandatory fall orientation that you'll need to be at. You will receive information about that, and you'll want to make sure to make all your arrangements to be there. So, but you will not have to worry about missing summer orientation. We know that that oftentimes can't be attended by our international students.
Michael, where can people go to learn more about orientation and summer orientation if they have specific individual questions?
I would go onto the UCSC website. If you go in the portal environment, we actually have a link to orientation programs, and then you can click on summer orientation. You can click, if you're interested in Summer Start, those of you that are international students, so this is not for any other student but our incoming freshman international students. That Summer Start program is on the summer session website, so you can find out more information there. If you have any trouble locating anything, get in touch with us in admissions@ucsc.edu, and we're happy to help you find where you need to go.
And last question, Michael, we've gotten great questions from everybody. We have a young man from Seattle, Washington, who's very anxious to know when he will receive his admissions package. Is there a tracking number?
So there is not a tracking number, and thank you for joining us from Seattle today. I appreciate that. I want to say that we are still sending out packets. We have asked people to wait approximately 3 weeks for those packages to go out. It looks like we will be done by the end of this week with everyone that was admitted by March 15th, having all those packets out. And so I would wait after next week. If you don't receive it by then, please contact our office at that point.
Great.
All right, let's go ahead, and I want to talk a little bit about affording a UC Santa Cruz thing. And I want to go off camera so that you can concentrate not on my face but on the slide that you see before you. We really do consider, how to finance a UCSC education to be a partnership. It's a partnership between us as a university, students, you have a role in this, and your family has a role. So UC provides grant and scholarship funding, and as an example of this, last year, UCSC gave over $250 million to aid students toward their undergraduate education. And this is really, something that we try to make sure students have access and opportunity, and work with you and your families to make this happen. So our friends in financial aid have indicated a couple things that they would like to make sure that you know. April 2014. If you've submitted an on-time federal financial aid application, you would receive an unofficial offer no later than April 1st. Now, I said before, make sure to check that to-do list in the My UCSC portal. There may be information that you need to submit something in order to move forward. April 1 through September 1st, 2014, if you've accepted their offer of admission and you submitted the FAFSA, that's the federal aid application, make sure you do everything on the to-do list, and you'll receive your official offer no later after the May 1 or June 1 deadline. And then if you've accepted their admission offer, may receive requests for additional information. That can happen anytime May through June. So financial aid is one of those things where they need to have complete information from you. So as you move through the next few months, Stay on top of the to-do list. Make sure that you know what is required of you from financial aid to move things along. Here we want to show you a picture, and this is why you may want to come back to this information down the line, a picture of what it costs, what the budget that you would want to think about for 14-15. And since I know we have some students from other states and other countries online, everybody basically has the same information that you see here: tuition and fees, food and housing, books and supplies. You see all those things as we go through this slide. What you see is two columns, one for an on-campus budget if you plan to live on campus, one for an off-campus budget if you plan to make arrangements yourself to live elsewhere. And then the big difference that you see would be down at the bottom. There is a non-resident tuition. And that non-resident tuition is something that if you are coming, say, on an F1 visa or from another state where you know you're not going to be a resident of California, you are going to be paying an additional nearly $23,000. And so we want to make sure that you know about this so that you and your family can work with us to see what we might be able to provide. We do, for non-residents, have it's a scholarship called the Undergraduate Dean's Award that you would have received information about to try to help offset some of the cost of non-resident tuition. But we want to make sure that you know what to plan for. And so if you have questions about, your package, financial aid, I know our colleagues in the financial aid office are more than willing to talk to you about that. So here we have some of the programs that we are offering to help students. There's a Blue and Gold Opportunity Plan for our California residents, and this is for resident students whose families' incomes are under $80,000. If after we've applied all of your grant and scholarship money, then we would look at if there's a difference for the tuition portion. And I'm going to step back here a minute. What they're talking about is this portion, the $13,398. If there's a gap there that exists, they're going to make it up under this Blue and Gold Opportunity Plan. And you don't apply for Blue and Gold. That's something that we just automatically take into account. The state of California has also been looking at trying to help middle income families with a new middle class scholarship program. And what you can see from this slide is that it's for family incomes up to $150,000 to help provide scholarship money to attend a UC or a CSU. We don't have a lot of details about this yet, but our financial aid office, again, you aren't applying for this. We're taking it into consideration as we go through and look at financial aid packages for California residents. And then, as I mentioned, to those of you that may be paying out-of-state tuition, we have our Undergraduate Dean's Award, which is 4 years, $20,000 for freshmen, 2 years, $10,000 for transfers, and that's payable freshmen $4,000, $4,000 the first 2 years, $6,000, $6,000 the following 2 years, and for a transfer student, it's $4,000 your first year, $6,000 your second year. Before I get to the deadlines, any good questions come up about this, B?
No questions on that.
Okay.
Questions, though, about things we talked about previously, and I just want to remind everybody we are in the College Week Live booth, too.
Okay, good. We're doing chatting today, B. We're in the College Week Live booth, so lots of people that today is your day to get a lot of questions answered. So I know we only had an hour today. We're trying to do our best to take some of the more commonly asked questions and answer them, but take advantage of the other people that will be online today in order to answer your questions. All right, let's talk a little bit about those key dates and deadlines again. So Gives me another opportunity to stress May 1 for freshmen and June 1 for transfer students. You want to make sure and not miss those deadlines to accept your offer of admission. And we do require you to do that through the My UCSC portal. For freshmen that are in California, you would receive an invitation sometime soon for the analytical writing placement exam, offered only in California. That will be given on May 10th. This is something that we have a university-wide requirement known as the entry-level writing requirement. If you have not satisfied it in some other way, some students have already satisfied it by having taken an advanced placement exam and scoring a 3 or better in English. If you haven't already satisfied this requirement, then you are required, those of you in California, to take the analytical writing placement exam. More information will be sent to you. So nothing you need to do right now. Know that we will be communicating with you. And we actually do this as a system, the University of California system, not just UC Santa Cruz. We've got the priority deadlines for financial aid, so you see that as June 2nd, July 1st. We've got two things that, again, relate back to your admissions. July 1, for your transcripts that are due, and that's part of your conditions of admission, we want those official transcripts by July 1. On July 15th, we want to make sure we have all your official test scores. Now, those are system-wide deadlines, and you want to make sure to adhere to those deadlines. They are part of your conditions of admission, so you'll see them there. And then you'll see that one of the things that people always ask us, particularly families, want to know, when will my fall bill be available? And that'll be August 23rd this year. You also see in the little box area there that we have our freshman and transfer orientation date are listed there. So those are, again, for those of you that were interested in more information, go to the orientation website, and then you can access that via the portal, and then click on Summer Orientation Program. So I can either repeat these or you can just see them on here, but B, is there anything you'd like to say about today's video chats?
No, we just hope that you'll join us for all of our upcoming video chats. You can see we're going to hire from the colleges next and our International Student Scholar Services, so there's a lot of international students here. Please join us to hear from our International Scholar and Student Services. We're going to have a research team and then a student panel at the end of the program, so join us all day.
And I would like to say, if you have the opportunity to hear directly from our students, I think that is an amazing opportunity. So they're taking time away. This is the first week of our spring quarter. And so these students are committed to trying to help prospective students know if UC Santa Cruz would be the right campus for them. So I'd like to put in a special plug where our students are participating, and that's the last session that you see on this slide. So there's my plug for our fabulous students at UC Santa Cruz. And I am going to take some more questions, but I just wanted to get to this slide to be sure to say, sometimes what we're known for is our mascot. So in this slide, what you're seeing is the world famous Sammy Slug, who is our mascot. The banana slug is UC Santa Cruz's mascot, one of the most recognized mascots in the world. And so here you have the personification of that, thanking you for attending today, as well as Beatrice and I thanking you for attending. But we've got about maybe 5-7 minutes. Oh, look, she's holding up two hands. So I have about 10 minutes to take questions from you. So B, tell me what questions I should be answering.
We are very busy, Michael. We are excited by these questions. We're getting a lot of questions from international students. One student's asking, I'm giving my A-levels this May and results won't be out until August. Should I send in my transcripts without it?
We would like to see your transcripts before that. But we understand that sometimes, you know, all the final official records that we'll need, and we know that includes the A-levels, won't be available until after that. So we are not going to be canceling your admission because we don't have your A-levels. We will be communicating when there are special circumstances that we have to extend that deadline. So for the majority of students, they can meet our July 1 and July 15th deadlines. But we even have some students that we know go to community colleges where their final spring grades won't be available because they're on the quarter system. They won't be available till after July 15th. So we work with students on this, and we will send multiple notifications out. So I don't want you to panic about that. Do just stay on top of it, and if you have any questions again, you can go ahead and contact us, and we're happy to put that in writing to you.
Okay, we have one student who's very anxious. She says she didn't fill out the FAFSA but applied via the DREAM Act. What additional information is available for her?
What I would suggest to you is go ahead and contact our financial aid office. They would kind of walk you through what your best steps at this point are. For anyone that missed the FAFSA filing, you can still apply via the FAFSA. It's just that the priority deadline has passed. But I want to make sure for undocumented students, students that qualify for the California DREAM Act, those that are AB 540 students, if you have specific questions about, what I should do or should have done, contact our financial aid office and let their experts answer those questions.
Michael, we're getting a lot of questions about health insurance and students asking if I have my own health insurance via my own country, in my own country, can that cost be waived in our total budget? And students asking how do they know whether their health insurance plan is going to qualify to be waived, basically? It's
a very good question. And so we do budget accordingly, having to consider that all students at any UC campus, this includes UC Berkeley, UCLA, UC Santa Cruz, doesn't matter what UC campus you're going to, you have to be covered under some health insurance. So if you have your own, when we go out with this information, and that will be during the summer, you'll need to verify that you have personal health insurance, and then we can go ahead and waive that cost off your bill. So it is something that takes place after the fact. We have to build it into the budget because there are students that don't have that. So know that if you are carrying your own and you verify that with us when we request that information, then it will not be part of the total charges.
Great. We've got a young woman from Boston, Massachusetts, who's a little worried about how to get home during breaks and wants to know, is the campus open during breaks or do we have to leave campus?
That's a great question, and welcome to you from Massachusetts. I am headed there in 2 weeks. I'll be in Boston. Maybe you'll come by and see us when we're in that area. I want to say that what we do during some of the breaks, some breaks are very short. And so we don't close the campus and students don't have to make other arrangements. Other breaks, like our winter break, where we're going from a fall to a winter quarter, are longer. So there are students that need to have accommodations on campus because they can't get home. And we work with our housing colleagues so that there is an option for those students. If you know this kind of coming to our campus once you start here in the fall, talk to your residential life coordinator, talk to the housing people, and they will work with you to make sure that there's some accommodation that we can figure out for you. There's also our proximity to several airports, so when you are planning to go back home, you can also make sure to make arrangements to get to the San Jose airport, the San Francisco airport. We even have one going toward the south in Monterey. These can get you anywhere you need to go. We have bus service that can take you downtown where you can pick up a Greyhound bus to get to these places. We have zip car options at UC Santa Cruz. So we really work with transportation services here on campus to make sure students can get where they need to go.
Great. We have questions from a student who wants to know, how do I appeal my residency status?
Each UC campus has a residence deputy. And so that's something when we have determined what your residency is, and you usually will see that as a product of what bill you get, then you would contact the residence deputy, and there's an appeal process for you to look at with that. This is something where each campus's residence deputy works with our legal counsel to make sure that they are employing the same standard at every UC campus for a student to be considered either a non-resident paying non-resident tuition or a resident paying in-state tuition.
Okay. Do international students need to take the writing placement exam, and when?
Most international students will take the writing placement exam when they come to campus in the fall. And so we know that many of those students will not be able to join us in the summer. So there is a sitting before the quarter actually has gotten underway, before classes start, where we offer the analytical writing placement exam for out-of-state international students, or if you had some reason you couldn't take the exam in May, you would be required to take that exam.
Okay. Do transfer students have to attend summer orientation? What happens if they're an international transfer student?
So just like I was saying before, if you have reasons where you absolutely cannot attend orientation, while we say we highly recommend it, and I recommend it for freshmen, I recommend it for transfer students, but if you physically can't make those arrangements, if it's an economic hardship, we understand that. How would it impact you? Well, there is registration for classes that takes place at that time. So you'll want to work closely with the departments, with your college. For those of you that can't attend, they will also send information out to you indicating what steps they'd want you to take. We usually do set aside some classroom space for students that cannot attend summer orientation. So it does not mean that your career at UC Santa Cruz is going to be ruined, because we have a number of students that can't. But we do try to say, if there's any way possible, as a transfer student, as a freshman, please do consider attending orientation.
All right, Michael, we are about out of time. Do you have any final words for our wonderful newly admitted students?
I guess the final words first would be to thank you again for attending this session today. I would love to, continue to answer all the questions that are here, but you do have opportunities to get these questions answered today, or to contact my office or other offices that can get your questions answered. And that goes for your parents too. I want to make sure that you make an informed decision about attending UC Santa Cruz. And if you attend UC Santa Cruz, I think you're going to find a campus that is welcoming to you. I think you will have a rich undergraduate educational experience at our campus, and I think you will join a long list of proud alums that love to be called UC Santa Cruz Banana Slugs. So I thank you for your time and attention today, and go Slugs!